Y'all are so lucky. Please give me that kill cam. Yes, let's go. Watch this shit. Fudge. Why you let me do you like that, Pudge?
What's going on, guys? It's Stitch, and welcome to my first Black Ops 7 gameplay commentary. I just want to give my thoughts on the game and just my thoughts on just Call of Duty in general, since it is my favorite game of all time, if y'all didn't realize. So yeah, let's get into it. So, do I think Black Ops 7 is a good game? And to be honest, fuck yeah, I do. I've been playing COD since COD 4, and my favorite out of the two series of Modern Warfare and Black Ops is the Black Ops series. And yeah, it's, obviously, it's modern day. It doesn't, have that, I guess, old school, like, Black Ops 1, like, look. But to be honest, I think just, like, the Omni movement and, like, the maps and, like, the gunplay are honestly, like, kind of fun. I think people who are just, like, hating on it, kind of just... and just be hating just to hate, to be honest. It's either that or, like, they just suck at Call of Duty, and they're not having fun because they just aren't good. But the only thing I realized that kind of does, like, suck is that I don't really see much of a community online, or especially on YouTube, of Call of Duty the way it was back then, like back when, like, Machinima was around and, like, Call of Duty gameplay was like an entire, like, community. And, like, it was, like, huge, like, back then. And now I don't really see it, like, I don't really see much of that content. If anything, the type of, on YouTube at least, the Call of Duty videos I do be seeing is, like, nostalgic, like, videos, or just, like, not so much, like, gameplay, like, focused, like, outside of, like, obviously, like, the Warzone, like, streamers. I mean, I'm not counting like that. I mean, I consider that, like, Warzone. And still, actually, now that I mention it, like, I feel like now, I mean, since Warzone has come out, like, I think, like, pub stomping and, like, like, the entire, like, sniping, like, montage community, like, I guess, characteristic of the Call of Duty community is kind of, like, died down. And I don't know, that's kind of unfortunate. But I mean, I'm sure it's not, it's not dead. It's really up to, like, whoever, like, plays and, like, how much people play it. But I feel like the game receives so much, like, hate, especially on social media. And I feel like now, especially with, like, everything, like, that, I guess the community is with crossplay and, like, people having, like, different, like, setups, and advantages because of that, and, like, hackers and whatnot. Like, you have to really, like, put more effort into, like, enjoying Call of Duty than it normally would. At least that's from my experience, because there's obvious skill gap increase that was introduced from the Omni movement and the wall bouncing. And to be honest, like, I loved it because it really adds that, like, increase in, like, the skill gap, and how the amount of players that have to actually, like, be good at Call of Duty to actually win these, like, gunfights and these engagements, because of all the additional, like, movements and, like, the customizations of everyone's settings with dead zones and all that. And it is a game that you, like, have to, like, sweat on. But, like, to be honest, like, what shooter would you not be, like, trying, like, your hardest, to be honest? Like, why play a game if you're not trying to win or, like, do good? You know what I'm saying? But I guess just as they got older, I wish I could just be more lax, or whatnot. But I don't know. I feel like, being good at the game, like, the only main, like, kind of what am I saying? Output of, like, in terms of content that you would have is kind of like professional, like, Call of Duty, or, like, joining the CDL, because people don't really kind of care much about, like, these gameplays the way they used to, or at least me. By the way, I'm talking all from just my point of view. Like, growing up, I was, like, watching all the Machinima, like, Call of Duty YouTubers, like, the pub stompers, and, like, the the sniping teams. Like, I was into all of that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's unfortunate. But I don't know if it's just that I don't have enough time to play this game the way I used to. But even though I'm still nasty at the game, and I just have naturally good gunny, I don't know, like just to get like playing like I guess just from my experience, I usually play like solo or just like solo, like try to link up with like random people. But it's just like I don't know. I feel like there's just with all the additional like movement advancements, there's just so much more opportunities to die. And yeah, like maybe I'm just like like kind of trash and like I'm not as good as I was. Which actually like fuck that. I'm actually like nah. What am I saying? I'm still fucking crazy at this game. But Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, like I would literally go for like 100+ kill games, triple nuclears, double nuclears. And like this game, like yeah, I can go on like some good streaks, but like I'll always die to some like BS, Maybe it's because I'd be solo killing and like I kind of just be like I'm a casual like for the most part at this game. But sometimes I'd be thinking like dang, like ranked isn't even out yet, so it's kind of the only reason I play this game because I don't know. To be honest, sometimes I honestly like feel like bad whenever I'm gaming sometimes because as I'm getting older, I feel like I shouldn't be or I'm wasting like my time or it's not something I should be doing as you get older. I'm like honestly like I hate that like logic or like that stigma that you like in order to grow up you have to like stop doing the things you enjoy. Like what? Like bro, I got my I got my job, I got my education, I got my health, I'm doing everything I need to, so I'm chilling, you know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing wrong with pursuing a little hobby on the side, and just playing some video games. Like nowadays everyone's so caught up in these blue pill, black pill, red pill, freaking whatever bullshit. Like people just gotta like remember how to just chill, you know what I'm saying? Or just have just play some Call of Duty or not take shit so serious. That's what make Call of Duty like such an enjoyable thing, like to partake in growing up, is just that you were like linked with like anonymous people and you can just like freaking not give a fuck. Now you're getting banned for like saying anything, so aside from that, overall the game I think is great. The zombies is fun and it's super complicated, like the Easter eggs. I'm still trying to get them down. I haven't had much time to actually like do them, but one day. But yeah, outside of everything, I'll give this game Black Ops. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 or 6.
I couldn't help.
6,
I couldn't help myself.
If you made it this
6,
far, thanks for
7.
watching. But sorry, I'll go. Yeah, on
Let me know your
your
thoughts
thoughts
down
down
below.
below. And I think the game's great.
Peace.